Rorschach's Journal, October 12th, 1985. Dog carcass in alley this morning. Tire tread on burst stomach. This city's afraid of me. I've seen its true face. The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood. And when the drains finally scab over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up around their waists. And all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "No."
Hey everybody, this is Mark Tiberius Lemke, Chicago Blackhawks fan. This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, and you can help support the Batman Universe by heading to patreon.com/thebatmanuniverse. It's been a while since I said that, Tim.
It has, but I think you nailed it.
I actually had to think about what our name was.
Well, now that you mention it, we only got a few more episodes left. What that is our title. The year's almost done.
Like one or two, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need a new title.
Better start thinking of one.
Yeah. But anyway, I've cautiously stayed off of Twitter, Tim, because I didn't want to read your tweets, and I wanted to hear it from you on this podcast. Right. I'm just wondering your opinion on. About the Yankees,
and how it took them forever to find a new manager.
Yeah, and who they picked.
Yeah. So first off, like I said, I was surprised it took them this long, because usually once manager or teams, fire a manager, decide not to bring back a manager, they kind of make it a priority and get it done right away. And I'm sure the Yankees did make it a priority, but they really, really took their time. They interviewed 6 people, but they decided on Aaron Boone, who is, a Yankee for half a season, but he's etched in Yankees history forever with that big home run in Game 7 of the ALCS. So
he hit a knuckleball pitch, Tim.
he didn't miss it, though. He didn't miss it.
And he launched it into the upper deck. So he hit a 60-mile-per-hour pitch, Tim. But I guess that's
to the World Series.
Yeah. And then he broke his ankle, and then A-Rod came.
Yeah. So he actually had 2 big impactful moments for the Yankees. One on the field and one off the field.
Did he break his ankle, or was it his leg?
I think it was his leg.
Oh, his leg.
Yeah, playing basketball.
I'm surprised he didn't have that in his contract.
I know, but I wonder if it was a time before that became like a big issue to have that in your contract, but I would think it would have been, at least for a lot of players, but I think it probably depends on the team, and that's probably a contract for the Reds too, so because the Yankees got him in a trade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the decision too. All the talk around baseball is how new managers that are being hired are younger, they're kind of more inexperienced. The old school way of managers is kind of going by the wayside. So I knew it wasn't going to be like an old timer like a Dusty Baker or someone like that coming into the Yankees. It was going to be somebody new, and it's going to be analytic driven, which the Yankees heavily are. So it's going to be someone I knew who, I hate to say this, but doesn't have full control like over a game and decisions. I think a lot of it's going to come from the front office, which like I said, the way baseball teams are going now, which I think is a shame. But I'm hoping there could be a nice balance here with, managing from your gut and just looking at the numbers and what the front office tells you would work in certain situations. So, but I think it's going to be interesting. This will be the first time, like in a long time, maybe even ever, where the Yankees, are going in with a great team, but, have an inexperienced manager, no coaching experience, no managerial experience. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. But everyone says he's, like in the interview and just him as a baseball analysis on ESPN, everyone says how, what a great baseball guy he is, very knowledgeable. And, everyone says he has a great personality. And the main things Yankees, one of the reasons why they didn't bring Girardi back was they wanted someone who could, communicate with the players better, which they felt was kind of an issue with Girardi. So I think Aaron Boone probably impressed them in that regard too. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a good choice, but it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out, because it's going to be, like I said, at first for the Yankees to have a really inexperienced manager at the helm for this season. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
That's what I don't understand, because how is that really going to work? I mean, let's say they go into like a game, right?
Mhm.
And they have a game plan. It was from, the executives or whatever of the Yankees. And then it's not really working halfway through the game. How are they going to relay that to the manager, the team, the coaches,
Yeah, that's the thing that's where, the true managerial skills come in, because they can have a plan, but when it doesn't go to plan, I think that's where the manager has to prove, he's a good manager and, come to the decision right then and there to make a good one. So I think that's where the experience or in this case, inexperience is going to play a big factor into Aaron Boone as a manager. So I would think they'd probably like to hire a, experienced bench coach to kind of help him out with that.
Yeah.
So he's not totally all by himself with making these decisions. So we'll see who they decide for a bench coach.
Well, I wish you luck, Tim. I mean, I think the Yankees, maybe the Red Sox, maybe the Dodgers are the only teams that can reach the ALDS, be within one game of making it to the ALCS and fire their coach.
I know, it's crazy. All these teams that made the postseason and they got new manager.
I know.
Well, not the Dodgers. They still got their Dave Roberts.
Yeah,
he was last year, but still, I know Red Sox and the Yankees. When was the last time I think they got rid of managers the same years and both made the playoffs? And the Nationals, that's the other team. They fired Dusty Baker after they made the playoffs. But
who would have thought Dave Roberts would be such a great coach?
I know. He won manager of the year last year, and he was one of the finalists this year too. So he was doing a good job. Hopefully, the same will happen with Aaron Boone. But Dave Roberts was a bench coach for a little bit first, so he had a little bit of experience. So, like I said, Aaron Boone's going in there, pretty fresh with hardly any coaching experience. So
he has no experience.
Nope, not in the coaching. Yeah, because after he retired, he just went straight to becoming a broadcaster.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, Tim. We'll see how that turns out.
Thanks. Yes. I mean,
hopefully, I would never have thought that Girardi had trouble communicating with the players. I thought he was a player's coach. Really,
me too. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think there was some big thing. There's this big disconnect between the manager and the coach there. I thought it was more of a thing, more of a talent-wise thing, whereas he just didn't have the talent to work with. He didn't have the next Derek Jeter.
Now they do, though.
Yeah, now they do.
When they get it, he's gone.
But I thought it was one of those situations where he would lose his job over that. I didn't think it was, he wasn't communicating with the players, management, things like that.
Yeah, I also think there was some friction between him and the front office, too.
Yeah.
Which kind of played a part in it.
That's what I thought, too. But, like I said, good luck with that, Tim. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but
me neither.
I hope Aaron Boone can do something there.
Yep. Hopefully create another magical moment like he did in that ALCS, except this time from the bench.
I suppose I should probably give my thoughts on Justice League. I saw it on.
Whoa, you did see it, man! You kept that hush hush.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Theater was kind of empty.
I was gonna say it's probably empty, huh?
It was. I kind of went in the morning time, so I didn't go at the prime time. But the theater was kind of empty. It's okay to like a movie. If you're listening to this and you like Justice League, it's okay. Probably makes you a better fan than I am, but I didn't like it, Tim. I
can't say I'm shocked, Dave.
I thought it was more of the same problems that Batman vs Superman had. They didn't really improve anything. Yeah, there was more jokes, but it kind of felt like the Flash was just there to tell those jokes. And it was just missing, swinging and missing, they didn't really do anything with the characters. I mean, you have, the most popular characters in the world, and you don't do anything with them. It's just, I mean, you do stuff with them, but it's so just typical. I mean, it's so expected that it gets, and I mean, that's the problem too. It wouldn't be so bad if the movie wasn't so boring. It's so boring. I mean, I know they shortened the run length, the time, in the movie, but it still kind of was a little boring. And you pair that with your characters doing nothing. I mean, I know they sort of, they fight Steppenwolf or whatever, but like, it's just, they kind of just do that, and then there's nothing after that. And that's my problem with it. There's a lot of cool action scenes, and remember this from the comics, but there's nothing really to back that up after that's done. And I don't know. I'm not going to make this a long thing, Tim. I'm just going to say I didn't like it. I didn't really like it.
I knew. Yeah, I was hoping when you saw that your expectations were so low going in that it would have been better than you expected. So, but at the same time, I knew that it probably wasn't going to be your cup of tea. But
yeah, it's like they were trying too hard, to make a lovable, I guess, superhero film. It's just not working out, and I think it's gonna need a reset. We have to go back and do this again. It's not a matter of let's wait for that hit movie. Mm-hmm. I think we're at the point where it's like we have to go back and reset. We need a whole new cast, whole new creative team. This isn't really working anymore. And I know there were rumors that even before Justice League came out that Warner Brothers was thinking about replacing Zack Snyder. I think that's the right decision at this point.
I think that's a given now.
Yeah.
Like, even if Justice League was a big success, I think he wasn't coming back anay. Like, this was it no matter what.
And plus, too, he has that the family stuff he needs to take care of, and, that always comes first. So... I don't know, I think I'm at this point where I think we need to just reset it again.
And I think that's going to happen because, I mean, regardless of, my feelings on the movie, which we heard on our last episode, I really loved it. But,
right.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding with the box office numbers. I mean, I think it's going to happen regardless of how I feel about the movie, just that general audiences now just, it hasn't connected with them as far as it being a successful, cinematic universe to fully move forward in. And as much as I hate to say it, I kind of think what you're saying is probably going to happen, Dane, where we're going to see some recasting. I don't think we're going to get a full-blown reboot of everything because Wonder Woman was obviously successful, and that's getting a sequel. We got Aquaman coming next year, and if that's a big hit, I think that'll continue. I just think the world building is going to be so lesson now, and you probably won't even see connections to other characters for any of these upcoming movies they have planned. And speaking of that type of situation, Matt Reeves' Batman, I'm kind of thinking now that might just be a full-blown reboot. I think Ben Affleck's definitely not going to star in those movies now. It's going to be a fresh start. And I'm kind of wondering, since, if they're going to take a step back from this whole cinematic universe, and because remember they made the announcement of that Joker movie being separate from that, I'm kind of wondering if Matt Reeves' Batman movies are going to be part of that, Elseworld movie or line of films where it's not going to be connected to the greater DC cinematic universe.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the problem, I think, is this Joker movie. And, let's say Matt Reeves' Batman is going to be part of that universe. I think we just need to clean the slate, put somebody in charge that knows what they're doing. Patty Jenkins, she's the only successful director that you've had do this. Put her in charge. She seems to know what she's doing. And you know what? I think that's what the problem is that you look at Wonder Woman and what Patty Jenkins did, and you look at what Christopher Nolan did with the Dark Knight trilogy, and what did they do that's different from this? I think the main difference is the fact that they made real movies. They made movies. They didn't make, this flashy sort of CGI cartoons fighting movies. Sure, there's a little bit of that in Wonder Woman, but Patty Jenkins made a movie, and I think that's the main difference, and I think that's what we need. That's that sort of CGI cartoon fight stuff that works great for Marvel, right? That works great, but what's behind that? It's a great story that interconnects every single movie that they put out. But I think for Warner Brothers, for DC, for the live action movies, I think they need a reset. They need a hard reset. I don't think you can really keep anything from this sort of universe we have right now, except for Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Maybe build it around her instead.
Yeah, I think it would be smart to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe build it around her universe. Make, for the lack of a better example, make Wonder Woman the Iron Man.
Sure.
Build around that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we really, really need. But, we don't know what Warner Brothers is doing right now. But if they do keep this, Tim, I have hope. I don't know. It's hard to believe,
Well, you know what this reminds me of, Dane?
Yeah.
The summer of 2011, June to be exact.
Really?
When Green Lantern bombed at the box office. And it put, everything on hold for what they were hopefully planning to do. What, Green Lantern was supposed to be the launch of their, cinematic universe. And that tanked. And now Justice League, man, I got to tell you, I was shocked at how low its opening weekend numbers was. I mean, 93 million is higher than Green Lantern's 50 million, but it comes out to pretty much the same when you look at what it should have made. Yeah. And it reminded me totally of that. And just, how Warner Brothers is probably going to have to take a step back and just see what they want to do moving forward, and maybe scrapping some plans they originally had to, do a little soft reboot with everything. And I definitely think the Justice League sequel is not going to happen for a very long time. And as much as I love that end credit sequence with Luthor and Deathstroke setting up a potential sequel, I hate to say it, I'd be shocked now if we got that anytime soon, or even if we get it at all, which, is a bummer. But it's kind of what Warner Brothers has to do right now. And just, I think they're going to focus on, like we said, these standalone movies first: Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Matt Reeves' Batman, Shazam, and then see how good those do. Maybe do a few more sequels. And then if they just have a continuous streak of really good movies with these characters, then I think that's when the possibility of another potential Justice League will happen. But I think it's going to be way down the line. They just got to, get these single movies they have coming out right first.
Yeah, and this isn't a I told you so, but I mean, that's what I've been saying this whole time, I think we need to have great movies first, single movies, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, that aren't so forced, and connected like this, and I think that's what Justice League's problem was, is they tried so hard to make these characters connected when there's nothing there, and it's not very put together really well, and I think that's what Justice League's problem was. But yeah, like I said, I do have hope with all these new younger directors coming in, actual filmmakers. You got Matt Reeves, you have Patty Jenkins, you have Taika Waititi from the Thor movie doing, the Thor movies now.
Came a long way from being, a co-star in Green Lantern.
yeah, that's right. So, I do have hope, and that these younger filmmakers that are true filmmakers, that don't direct, big blockbuster movies, are, the future of this, of whatever this franchise becomes, But in the end, I feel like they need a hard reset on this. It's just not going good. It's not good.
It obviously hasn't worked with everybody.
Well, I mean, put it this way. I think it was was it Warner Brothers or was it Universal that tried to relaunch like the Mummy and Kong Skull Island, and that they were going to do like this whole monster universe.
Well, those are separate. The Kong Skull Island, and that's connected with Godzilla. I think that's Warner Brothers. Those have been successful, but Universal did the Mummy, which tanked. I think that killed that whole.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a Mummy
monster
and
movies.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
there's going to be this whole monster
Frankenstein,
thing.
Wolfman. I think.
Yeah, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Oh, yeah, but like. Those movies didn't do very good, and then
you mean that one movie because they only made one.
Oh yeah, that's right. For some reason, because I think Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were in that Mummy movie.
Oh, okay, did you see that?
Yeah,
it was as bad as everyone said.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. They should have just kept the Brendan Fraser ones. But they were trying to create what DC's trying to create, but it didn't work out. They canceled it, So it can be done, I just think this needs a hard cancel, and it needs to be reset at this point. I don't think. I mean, sure, Tim, you liked it. I didn't really like it. We both saw it, but it's the general audience,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's who has to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I had to give it a rating, Tim, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. One, because I thought some of the action scenes were good. It was great seeing Wonder Woman, even though she was just there to be an exposition machine. It's like, oh yeah, and then this happened, and then this happened.
Oh, come on, Cyborg wouldn't have joined the team without Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that Cyborg. I don't think it's a costume. I think it's mostly CGI'd on.
Oh yeah, it's all CG.
It does not look good.
You see, I didn't have a problem with Cyborg at all.
Really?
None of his shots took me out of anything.
I just thought it didn't look good. Like his head was too small on his body. Flash. Grant Gustin is Flash. Yeah.
See, I love them both. Like right now, I don't have. They're both good for really different reasons, in my opinion. So, like, I don't have a favorite out of them right now. So I thought Ezra Miller was really good as a Flash. So,
put it this way. Here's another positive. I came out of the movie really, really thankful for Grant Gustin. Because Ezra Miller, I'm not sure. I'm sure he's a great actor. I haven't really seen him in anything else, but it seemed like every time he would deliver these jokes over and over again, it just wasn't hitting. Like, I don't know if it was the bad, they were just written as bad jokes, or what, but I don't know, they just weren't hitting. Aquaman, he was just a machine. like or a woohoo machine, I don't know. He must have said like 7 or 8 woohoos in that movie.
I think we might have found our rating scale for this episode.
My biggest criticism, and I hate to say this, Tim, and this is probably going to be the last of of this podcast, was Ben Affleck.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. You can tell in every single scene, he doesn't want to be in this franchise anymore. Or that's at least the impression that I got. There's no, I mean, he's just, you look at his face and he's just, not trying to act at all. He's just trying to get through it throughout the whole movie, I felt like.
Well, sadly, that's probably true. Even though I didn't get that feeling watching it, it's probably accurate that was the case for him. And
what I didn't notice in Batman vs. Superman is that the Batman costume, Ben Affleck can't turn his head that well. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. My brother kind of picked that up when we saw it, and I go, you know what? I think you're right. It doesn't have that great, maneuverability that I think we got used to with Bale's suit from The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. Like they kind of went back to, I guess, that material rubber where it was a little more harder to move your head.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem too. It's like, with this Ben Affleck Batman / Bruce Wayne, if you compare that to the Christian Bale, Batman Bruce Wayne, I don't know. I just feel like there's nothing there in the Ben Affleck Batman. I mean, at least Christian Bale was trying to do something interesting. It seems like in this movie, Ben Affleck, there's just nothing there. Like he's not. It's like he's not even trying. And
I think what stinks too is that Ben Affleck never got the chance to be in his own Batman movie where the focus was on Batman and Bruce Wayne as a character and progressing the story from there. He was always, part of a larger story in Batman v Superman and now with Justice League, where he couldn't be the focus to, have him do, do more interesting things that maybe you were looking for in a Batman story. So it's kind of unfortunate now that more than likely we won't get to see him do a solo Batman film, and I'll potentially see that.
And another thing too is, why was Commissioner Gordon in this movie?
They had to explain, get the Justice League's first mission together with those missing scientists in Gotham.
Yeah, it was like, hey, I think
it was a cool sequence though.
Because weren't they in the Gotham sewers? Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, hey, I think there's something going on in the sewers, and then his scene is done, and he's never seen it again in the movie.
Remember, it's not a Batman movie, so Gordon wasn't going to have a big role anyway.
And why did J.K. Simmons get ripped for that? He's wearing a trench coat the entire time.
I don't know if he got ripped just for Justice League, but
but yeah, I don't want to make this a long thing. I know a lot of people loved it. You included, Tim. In the end, I think it's time for a reset. We need a fresh batch of movies. Start with something small. Start with a Batman movie. The winning formula. Start with the sequel to Wonder Woman. It just needs a reset. It needs a new person in charge. Patty Jenkins would be great. She seems to know what she's doing. Yeah, they just need a reset on this.
It stinks for me, like being on such a high after seeing it, then the following after to seeing how poorly it is, like kind of brings it down a little bit. But
yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you, because I listened to the podcast you did, and you loved it and everything, but the box office isn't there, Tim. And
no, it's not.
Yeah, like everybody's kind of down on it. So, like, what's your perception of all of this?
Yeah, it's very disappointing. I mean, that's the thing, that I can't even look at a silver lining for it, saying, well, at least it did this, and at least it did. Like, no, it's bad. There's no other way around it. I mean, that's what I said before. That's why it reminds me a lot of Green Lantern 2011. Just the poor box office performance, and this audience is not showing up to see it. It's just very, very disappointing to see. I mean, this is the first, we're getting a movie with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and all in the same movie together. It did not have the audience that you'd think a movie like that would have. And it's just very shocking. It was shocking. Like, I knew it wasn't going to probably do really extraordinary numbers. I thought at least, in the 100 million range, but to not even crack 95 million, that was really, really bad. So yeah, it's just very disappointing. And like I said, still doesn't take away my, love of the movie, but like you just can't help but be disappointed that, it just didn't have the success that, fans and I'm obviously Warner Brothers were hoping for it. But yeah, it's gonna like you said, I think I don't know if a full blown reboot, but some type of reset's gonna happen. They're gonna take a step back, get the movies they have in production already out, and then go from there. So it's gonna be an interesting few years again for DC movies. I don't think DC movies are going anywhere. It's just gonna be something totally different from what we got the last few years in the extended universe. So we'll see what happens, but I'll be there to be excited for it all unless something comes out that really turns me off. But so far that hasn't been the case. But it should be interesting.
You know what? I think they should go back, Tim, to 2011 and build the new cinematic universe around the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
It's going to be hard to get Ryan Reynolds back now that he's Deadpool. But
oh, yeah. I totally forgot about it. He's great as Deadpool, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on Justice League. It's okay to like a movie if you love these movies. Hey, great on you.
And at the same time, to you, Dane, it's okay not to like a movie as well. So this doesn't make you any less of a fan.
Yeah, but I thought that Ben Affleck comment would have got me thrown off this podcast too.
No, you're safe for now.
Okay, good. I don't like the animated series.
Now you're kicked off the podcast.
By the way, kind of switching things up from a negative to a positive, I finally bought Paul Dini's Dark Knights.
Oh, you did? Did you read it yet?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through it. He's on the date right now. He's walking the girl home. Yeah, I love it. I love the artwork. I love how he's telling the story. He's kind of pitching it to the DC editors. I totally love that comic. It's so great.
Yeah, it gets better even from that point where you're on now and up till the end. It's really, really good. So,
and I totally love that dinner scene where she's talking about her movie debut in some movie part 2 or whatever, and then Bruce Wayne and Joker are kind of his angel and his devil.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how can you only date women that are in movies with Roman numerals?
Yeah, there's more great stuff coming.
Well written.
With not that many Joker dynamic later on in the story, especially at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really glad you're reading it. It was really, really good.
Yeah, that whole dinner scene. I love that whole dinner scene. It's really, really well written. So yeah. Turning a negative into a positive, Tim.
There you go. Yeah. All it takes is the animated series. That turns everything to a positive. So yeah, there's not going to be any feature topic for this episode. Tim and I are just going to talk about a lot of the news that's been coming out. There's catch up.
Yeah, there's.
But first, Dane, we gotta let a Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary.
Oh, how could I have forgotten? How could I have forgotten? It was all the baseball talk, and then it went into the Justice League talk, and I totally forgot about it. So yeah, let's do our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary, because we need to do one for every single episode that we do, and we're on minute 94. We've done 94 minutes of this, Tim. An hour and 34
close to 100.
minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, we only have an hour and 11 minutes left.
We better enjoy it while we can, Dane. It's going to be over before we know it.
Yeah, 2 hours and 45 minutes is the run time. So yeah, we're on the 94th minute, going to the 95th minute, so grab your HD DVD, grab your projector, grab your VHS tape, grab your beta tape, grab your
Blockbuster Video membership card?
No, before we get to that one, what was it, Tim?
Oh, the Netflix digital media?
No.
Or I should say physical media.
No, it was analog, Tim. It was analog. The big discs. what are they called?
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc. How could I forget? They were so big. Grab your Laserdiscs. Grab your yes, like Tim said, your Blockbuster rental, unless you live in Alaska, where that's relevant.
Yeah. we got to say that now.
Yeah.
That's right.
And grab your Netflix physical media subscription rental, right?
Yeah.
And just keep
Unless you want to buy it afterwards. I don't know. I think you have that option, don't you? I'm not sure.
Can you?
I know you
Like,
could for GameFly with video games. So I'm not sure if that applies to Netflix too. But
did you ever do that?
Yeah, I did. I was on GameFly for a few years.
And then, like, let's say you liked this game, right? And then you would just tell them that you liked it. And
yeah,
you're going to keep it.
Just click the buy button online, and they'll send you the box for it because they just send you the disc with a sleeve. But if you buy the game, they'll send you the box and everything for it. So.
Oh, I see. So was there like any kind of discount?
A little bit, yeah. I think it depends on if it was a new game. I never bought like a brand new game through there. It was just kind of been an older game that I never played before and liked it and wanted to keep it. It was like $20, something like that. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, and you know what I meant? I've been meaning to ask you for over a month now, Tim. But I just kept forgetting, and then I wasn't on the Justice League episode. You know, when you used to work at GameStop, I specifically remember that whenever a new game would come out, let's say a Final Fantasy game, they would also try to sell you the strategy guide. Was that mandatory?
Yeah, they would.
It was?
Try to have those add-on sales is what they call them. You buy the game, but add on some more stuff that they might need for an extra controller or strategy guides. And if you got the strategy guide with the game, you get 20% off the guide. So that was kind of the incentive to try to get customers to get the strategy guide with the game.
So that would also apply, that sort of sales technique, that would also apply to collector's edition, like physical collector's editions. Like, I know with the Halo games, you also got like the helmet or whatever. So that would also be the case with the special editions and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. Because those special editions don't come with the strategy guides. So you got to try to push them.
So like, would you try to convince somebody to buy the special edition, right? And then they say, oh, yeah, you know what, I'll get it. It's only like $25 more or whatever. Would you also try to sell them the strategy guide?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say it once, like, hey, you want to buy the strategy guide with it? You save 20%. If they say no, okay, I wouldn't try to push it or anything like that.
Yeah. You're not trying to irritate them, right?
Yeah, just say it once, and if they say no, move on.
Yeah, I see. I wonder if they still do that, or if they still have strategy guides. Like this.
I know. I wonder how much they sell, because you got wiki pages now. You could easily look up guides online. So I'm sure they still make them, but I just wonder how much they sell. I'm sure not like they used to.
Yeah, because they were like $20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they even I know they still make them, because I got one for Final Fantasy 15 last year, and it was I got a big guide for it. Sometimes they make collector's edition of the guide, not just the game. So.
Oh, I see. You know, when I was young, like when I was younger, and I had a PlayStation, the first PlayStation, I remember buying Silent Hill. Right, I think I told you this story, and in the instruction guide, it would have a strategy guide number that you would call.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like, you would call the number, and then if you were stuck on something, and then you would call the number, and they would tell you the solution or whatever. I didn't know at the time that they charged for that.
Oh man, how big was your phone bill?
It wasn't that bad, Tim. I mean, when you're young and you don't have a lot of money, it was really bad, but it ended up being like $76.
Man, Dane, you were really bad at that game. You had to call that much to try to figure out how to beat it.
Yeah, it was just the puzzles. Like, the puzzles were made for, people that just do puzzles, and, not for a kid that just wants to kill monsters,
That's funny, though.
Yeah. wonder if they still do that, like for Final Fantasy.
I highly doubt that.
Like for Final Fantasy, like I wonder if like, oh, I'm stuck on this dungeon or whatever. You call the number. Oh, you know what else I forgot to ask you, Tim?
What's that?
You own a Nintendo Switch, right?
Uh-huh.
A game came out, a remastered game came out not too long ago.
Is it L.A. Noire?
How did you guess it, Tim? Did you buy it?
No, I didn't, because I still have the Xbox 360 version.
And you still don't play it.
I played it once, and we talked about it before, how I liked the game. It was fun, different, but that ending was really lame.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
I wouldn't mind if they made a sequel of it, I should say. Because like I said, the premise and the gameplay style of it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved solving all the crimes and stuff. And,
doing the interrogations.
Yeah, the interrogations. And you really had to read the person's face. You couldn't just guess. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the piece of information.
Yeah. See, that'd make it for a cool Batman game like that, too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, man, I'm so behind on the Telltale series. I know the third episode just came out. I haven't played the second one yet.
Yeah, me too. I haven't played the second one either.
I was gotta get back into those before I get really, behind. I'm hoping, it's not the case where the final episode's out and I haven't started the second one yet.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what were we doing? Our minute-by-minute commentary?
Okay. Back to the minute-by-minute commentary, yes.
Yeah, let's do that. So just queue up your various media that we don't use anymore, unless you live in Alaska. And just cue it to the 94th minute, and then I'm going to give the countdown. So, Tim, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, hit play.
Dane, or is Dane? Well, your names are pretty similar, Dane and Bane.
It's a letter difference.
I'm going to say Bane mentioning the mysterious Gothamite who's the trigger man. I got to say, when I first saw this, I kind of just, didn't pay attention to it or whatnot, where I was like when Talia revealed that she was like, oh, yeah, Bane mentioned that back in the football field. But I like how he just casually threw the headset mic on the floor. Yep. A literal mic drop right there.
And right on Dr. Pavel.
Yeah.
Or at least near him.
And we're getting into the no man's land section of the movie.
Yeah, I had a lot of hopes for this. I mean, I knew they took some of it, but I thought it was going to be like an all-out no man's land. Like there's going to be different gangs and stuff.
Yeah. Man, it would have been a 4-hour movie if they're going to go that route.
A 4-hour, 2-part movie.
Imagine doing minute-by-minute commentaries for that long of a movie.
8 hours.
Yeah. Oh, wow. But the minute's up, Dane.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just watching that guy talk to the army guy.
You must not have your counter on.
No, it disappeared.
Yeah, mine stopped. The minute stopped right when the first shot of the military on the bridge.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said before, we're just not going to do a feature topic this episode. By the way, did you do a minute-by-minute commentary for the Justice League? I can't remember.
No, we didn't. It was nothing but Justice League for that one.
Okay. So yeah, we're just going to talk about some news topics. And the first one is that Brian Michael Bendis, noted Marvel writer, is going to be doing some DC comics. Yeah,
this was, a shocker when it first came out. I mean, I was totally not expecting this because he was, one of Marvel's top writers who did a lot of their big books back, for quite a few years now. And I've been a big fan. I shouldn't say a big fan because I haven't read a lot of his stuff that he did, but the stuff I did read, I always enjoyed, especially the New Avengers when he relaunched that, where you had like Spider-Man, Wolverine, a part of the New Avengers team. Those stories were really good. And like that kind of era of Marvel stuff, I always really liked. So I think it's really cool news that DC has him. And my hope is they stick him right on Justice League because talk about a comic that needs a good kick in the pants as far as, to getting back up to being a good title again. I mean, you would want Justice League to be your flagship DC book, and it needs a great, I don't want to say like reboot or anything, but it just needs a new, fresh, new take on it with a new writer, because since Rebirth, it hasn't been clicking at all. And I haven't read it for a while, and maybe it has gotten better, but I don't think it's up to where it probably should be. I think Brian Michael Bendis could be, the perfect guy to go and breathe some new life into the book. But like he kind of did with the Avengers, like I was saying with the new Avengers title. So I'm excited for it. I'm just interested to see what he's going to do. As much as I hope he'd be working on Justice League, I have a feeling he's probably going to be doing a new project. Maybe like I don't want to say an event series, but kind of something that's not part of the main books right now. Maybe he'll focus on some characters in the DC universe that are familiar or kind of not familiar. They can go anywhere. So it's going to be interesting to see what he actually does. But my hope is it's going to be Justice League, because I think he's the perfect guy to breathe some new life into that title.
What did he do for Marvel?
It's probably one of his biggest ones.
X-Men?
Did he? Yeah, he did. I think he did New X-Men or All New X-Men. But his big claim to fame is Ultimate Spider-Man and launching the whole Ultimate Universe back in 2000.
Oh, I see. The Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, he pretty much jump-started that whole universe on the Marvel side of things. So, and he did a lot of event series for Marvel too. So he was kind of like their go-to writer for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just cautiously optimistic because didn't J. Michael Straczynski, sorry, that's hard to say. Didn't he come from Marvel to DC?
You know what? I don't remember what was first or not, if he was with Marvel or DC first, because I'm not too familiar on that timeline with James Michael Straczynski, because I know he hasn't done anything for a while.
Yeah.
For both, if I'm not mistaken.
Hasn't
I know he did the Superman Earth 1 stuff.
Hasn't he been working in TV?
Maybe, yeah. I haven't followed his career too closely, so I'm not too sure. But
right.
I think it's always interesting, though, when a big writer jumps from either Marvel or DC and see what they do with the other publishers' characters and properties. So it's just exciting when that happens, when it's a big name like Brian Michael Bendis. So I'm excited. Just hopefully we hear something soon and they don't leave us into the dark too long as far as what projects he's going to be working on.
I'm just hoping for a Plastic Man.
Well, this could be it, Dane. This could be the Plastic Man relaunch you've been hoping for.
Brian Michael Bendis joined DC to do a Plastic Man story.
Yeah. We know Plastic Man's probably going to come back in Dark Knight's Metal, so this could just be the jumping off point.
Yeah. So Tim, I'm looking at the show notes and I see this one thing, and I'm very, very curious about why it's on here.
Really, Dane?
No. Of course, Tim has to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to Injustice 2.
Oh boy, was this awesome. I gotta tell you when I first found out about this, that I could have been in a better way, because I was watching Man of Steel because I wanted to do a DC movies rewatch before Justice League. I'm watching that, and my brother comes in. He says, "Hey, do you see the new DLC characters announced for Injustice?" I go, "It was like a while ago. I think it's like the Atom is their next big one." And he goes, "Oh, here, watch the video." He gave me his phone. I hit play, and I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, there's the Atom. Then he's fighting Enchantress. I go, oh, I didn't know Enchantress was going to be in it. Okay. And then they're fighting each other. Then a sigh gets thrown down in between them. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Is that what I think it is? Could it be? And then it gives to another shot with a character in the alleyway in the shadows in a trench coat. I'm like, oh, man, they're doing it. They're doing it. He rips off the trench coat. You hear the voices, and you see all 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the alley looking awesome with awesome character models and the CG cutscenes. And they're officially in Injustice 2. Wow, what a shocker. I mean, out of all the DLC characters to speculate on that would be in this game, I would never have thought they would be in it, but man, I love it. And it's kind of cool that I think that Injustice is, not limiting the character roster to just DC heroes and villains. I mean, Hellboy just came out not too long ago as a DLC character, and now we're getting the Ninja Turtles. And man, it's such an awesome surprise. I just can't wait to play him and have them go up against the various DC characters. I mean, obviously, the big connection to the DC universe is Batman with the recent Batman Ninja Turtle comics, which I really think that comic series is to thank to getting the Ninja Turtles into Injustice and, becoming a bigger part of, DC, crossover stories. So it's going to be awesome. I'm curious to see how they're going to play, because it looks like all four of them are going to be one character you select. So I'm curious how the gameplay mechanics are going to be when you pick them. Like, can you swap them out with each different turtle, or do you start with one turtle and then depending on the moves you do is going to bring out another turtle? So it's going to be interesting, but the graphics look awesome. Their character models look great, and I just cannot wait. This is like, anything I thought was possible when it comes to Injustice 2 and character rosters. This is going to be so much fun to play them as. And yeah, I think it's going to be around February when it should be out. I don't think they put an exact date yet, but sometime in 2018. But man, I wanted to get here quick. It looks so awesome. And it was great too, because they showed it at a fighting game tournament, I believe it was, where Injustice, was a part of it, and they were going to show a trailer that revealed the new DLC characters, and someone was filming the announcement video with the audience in there, and everyone just went nuts when they saw that Psy get thrown down between Adam and Enchantress. And when the turtles actually revealed themselves, everyone lost their minds like I did once I saw it. So it was so cool to get that reveal, and I was glad my brother came and showed me and just said hit play, because after that, if I were just to scroll on Twitter or on YouTube or anything, I would have seen thumbnail images of the YouTube video where people like saying, oh my goodness, the Ninja Turtles. And I wouldn't have that surprise moment of just watching it like I did, not expecting them to be in there. And it was such a great surprise. So yeah, it could have been a better way to find out. And now I just got to wait for that DLC pack to get released, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, I didn't know that people play Injustice 2 competitively, like in these competitions for cash prizes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know until I saw something. I thought it was just your Street Fighters, your Tekken, stuff like that. I think a lot of video game developers who are doing fighting games, like their goal is to have their game be part of those competitive tournaments. Right.
That new Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, that's supposed to be they want that to be part of that competitive gaming atmosphere too once that comes out. So I think that's kind of the goal most developers have, but I guess you just got to wait and see if it makes the cut to be part of those tournaments.
Yeah.
If only we were good at those video games, or I'm decent at fighting games, but there's so much more better players out there than me. It would be nice to be one of the more dominant ones so I can make money playing video games.
When was the last Ninja Turtle video game?
Last year, actually, or was it 2 years ago? I think it might have been 2015, early 2016, something like that. But
was it a side scroller?
Not a side scroller, or more of a 3D beat 'em up game. It was kind of an open world. Certain levels would be, so it was good, just not great. We still haven't gotten a great Turtles game in so long. I mean, the last really great one was on the Super Nintendo. Sad to say.
Yeah, because I saw on the PSN store they do sell the first Ninja Turtles game, the one in the arcade, and Turtles in Time. Yeah,
the Turtles in Time is a remix one, which not even as good as the original ones, which was a bummer because I was looking forward to that remake, but it just wasn't the same.
And like I said, Tim, to you on Twitter, I can't remember if it was the original Ninja Turtles game or the Turtles in Time. That was one of the best arcade games ever made.
Yep, it really was.
I spent so much money on that game.
Same here. It doesn't, like you said, the original or Turtles in Time, it doesn't matter which one because they were both amazing. One of the best arcade games ever. But the one I played the most was the original arcade game. That game was so fun.
Yeah.
I remember where I played it at. It was at a supermarket.
Yeah.
And my favorite turtle is Leonardo, but for some reason, the slot where you got to play Leonardo was always busted. So I could never beat him.
Right.
For so long. And I remember one time because somewhere the slot where you put the quarter in, it was pushed in where it wouldn't accept your quarters.
Oh, the return was pushed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kept pushing it to try to unjam it. I kept doing it one night and I got it. I was like, yes, maybe it'll work now. I put the quarter in. I was like, yes, I'm finally Leonardo.
It's funny that you say you used to play it in a supermarket because the only place that you could play the Ninja Turtle game, whichever one it was here, was at Chuck E. Cheese.
Uh-huh.
That was the only place that had it. I checked every single arcade.
That's surprising though, because it was so popular.
Except for Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know why. So we would always go to Chuck E. Cheese. Instead of going to the arcade, we would go to Chuck E. Cheese. Also, surprisingly, I don't know why I was thinking about this, but one of the single best arcade games, surprisingly, was the Die Hard arcade game.
Really? Yeah. I never played that one.
Yeah, that was a really, really great game. But the best was the Ninja Turtle games, whichever one it was.
You can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah.
The Simpsons arcade game was really good too. I don't know if you played that one. Yeah, it was like a beat 'em up style like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. And then there's obstacles and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No, I never played that one. I don't think we had it.
They put it on the Xbox store and I think the PlayStation store 6 years ago. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but.
And you didn't buy it?
No, I bought it.
Of course.
Of course I bought it.
The great thing about those sort of remastered games is that the download file is really small. So it doesn't take that long.
But the bad thing is they don't stay on there forever for some reason. I guess the licensing gets complicated, and then what's really disappointing on the Xbox One, a lot of those classic arcade games, aren't backwards compatible with it, so I can't play it on the new systems, which, I really wish I could.
Yeah. And plus, too, I doubt that the companies that made, say, the Ninja Turtle game are around anymore.
Yeah, and different publishers, have the licenses over different courses of the years.
Yeah.
I think Konami had it originally back in the Super Nintendo days, and then Activision had it, or they actually have it now. I think Ubisoft had it 10 years ago.
Ubisoft
it keeps changing, yeah.
So don't buy the Turtles in Time then.
If that's your only option, I'd say it's still worth the playthrough just to get that feel, but it doesn't quite capture the magic of the original one. Even the graphic style I don't like. They should have just stuck with the original one, or at least made it cell shaded, have that comic or animated style feel to it.
Yeah, and plus too, I don't really have 4 people to play with, or 3 other people to play with, and there's no online for that.
Well, there was when it first came out, but I don't know if it's I don't know if they still have the servers up for it.
Yeah. I doubt
that. Turtles in Time remix came out in 2009, so
So I don't want to be playing by myself because it was the best when you could play with all four characters. So
there's nothing quite like being able to play a Turtles game when you had 4 players and all 4 Turtles are on screen. That was special.
Moving on to our next piece of news is the Dark Knight trilogy is coming to 4K Blu-ray in December, Tim. Right in, not for you anyway, but right before Christmas, right?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
And I guess we're going to have to start adding Blu-rays to our dead media formats for our Dark Knight Rises.
I think so.
Minute by minute commentary, now that it's officially going to be on 4K.
I think so. I think we're going to have to lump Blu-ray into that, unless you say 4K Blu-ray, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess we could say original Blu-ray or standard HD Blu-ray.
Yeah, so Tim, are you going to be buying it?
Yes, I will. I mean, it was announced that pretty much all of Nolan's films are going to be released in 4K in a box set. I was like, oh man, well, that should probably be worth it anyway, even though to get the 3 Batman movies, because pretty much all his movies are great, so it wouldn't be the worst thing. But they're actually going to have a box set just of the Dark Knight trilogy, as that we could just buy separately. So, which is a great option to have as well. So I'll be getting that, because remember that Ultimate Edition that came out back in 2012?
Yeah, you were like super excited for it, and then
I was like super on the fence about it too. Yeah, because I never did end up getting it because it was like 80.
No. I thought it was the one where you were super excited about it, you bought it, and you thought there were going to be like good special features on it. And it ended up being just the ones on the DVD, I think. No, there was a new documentary, but there's only like 20 minutes.
I think it's a pretty good length, but it just at the time for the price, it just couldn't justify the purchase of it for one new bonus feature.
Right.
I'm hoping that documentary's on this 4K set, because it would have been worth the wait.
I just hope that it isn't one of those things where it's like, I'm so excited in 4K Blu-ray to watch this movie, and then you pop it in and you're like, oh, that looks kind of awful, like the CGI or whatever.
They really said they're taking their time with their remastering of all of Nolan's movies, so hopefully it should be a really good transfer.
Which is what I suspect. I mean, all these people with release the original Star Wars trilogy and the original whatever, right? The original releases.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the problem if that ever happens.
You'll notice
this is awful.
Yeah, you'll start to appreciate the special editions more and all the stuff they cleaned up and touched up on that make it look better. So.
Tim, I hope you buy those and then there's something new on them.
Regardless, it'll be good to have them in 4K.
Right.
Especially, like I said, how much, they're building up of how, the care they put into remastering it in 4K. So it should look really, really cool.
Yeah, I still don't have a 4K TV. I don't think I'm going to buy one anytime soon. I think it's just a thing where it's... I mean, I was looking on Black Friday at the 4K TVs and stuff. And I don't know, not yet. I don't think I don't think I'm ready to buy
Make
that.
The jump.
to spend all that money on it, where that might not be the technology of the future.
Well, it's not. I mean, you're already hearing rumblings about 8K down the line. So that's the one bad part about being into all this technology and gaming and these movies. It's always going to improve, which is kind of good and bad.
Yeah. Right. But speaking of future things, Tim, we're gonna get a Harley Quinn animated series coming to DC's streaming service, which still hasn't come out yet, right?
Yeah, they're just saying 2018. No exact date yet, but hopefully soon, because we're almost in 2018. So
are you excited for it, Tim?
Yeah, I think it should be. I'm just excited for the DC streaming service in general. They're getting some cool stuff added to here. We got Young Justice Season 3, the Titans TV show, which we'll talk a little bit about pretty soon, and now this Harley Quinn animated series. We're just, getting some good variety here. And Harley Quinn animated series wouldn't be my first choice, but hey, I like Harley Quinn. I like all the Batman characters. I'm definitely going to watch and see how it is. I think that's going to be about 26 episodes they have planned, and they said they want to get Margot Robbie to do the voice for Harley in this series, which would be cool. So hopefully they can pull that off and get her to do it. The only thing that, made me scratch my head a little bit or have a little pause is that I think it's coming from the same, creative teams who did that DC comedy show for NBC, Powerless, which, got canceled pretty quickly.
And after like 2 episodes, they got
something like that.
Or 6 or something.
I never saw one episode, but the trailers and stuff, it just didn't click for me. I didn't find it to any of those trailers to be funny or just have the tone of a DC comedy show. Just didn't work for me. So I never watched it. It didn't get good reviews. Obviously got poor ratings. So hopefully
it was a great concept. I have to say it was a great concept. Yeah. Because sure, you can have your Batman show on Gotham. You can have your Flash show. But what about all these little people? like the citizens of Gotham. What about them? We haven't really heard about them, so it's a great concept,
Yeah, maybe, not, I don't know, maybe the concept was good, but just making it a comedy in the DC universe, I don't know, or sitcom style comedy, that's the probably better term I should use. Just never sound like an idea that I thought would work very well.
Well, it's like this this new show that I've been watching on the CBS All Access since Star Trek is taking a break. You know how you have your big cop shows, you have your Law and Orders, your Chicago PD or whatever it's called. You have your True Detectives. You have all these shows where, the detectives are after the bad guy, right? No matter what the crime is, whatever, right? But this new show is called No Activity, and it's about it's a cop show, and they're trying to bust this drug deal, right? Except they're not the big cops, they're the little cops, where it's like they get like the detail where nothing is going to happen. Essentially nothing happens. They're just talking in their car. And it's great. It's the funniest show I've seen in a while. It's like nothing is happening. They even go to the call center, the police call center. Nothing is happening. They're in contact with the security guard. Nothing is happening there. The drug deal isn't happening. There's nothing happening. They're just talking to each other. It sounds like a weird concept.
So it's like a Seinfeld police show, because Seinfeld is a show about nothing.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like your Seinfelds or your True Detectives, except nothing is happening. It's like your Law and Order, where there's a murder or something, but you're following the beat cops that aren't really. They're kind of involved with it, but they're cordoning off the block. It's kind of their show. Instead of the detectives have to find the evidence, it's more like the beat cop that's cordoning off the block, sitting in his car doing nothing. It's more about that. It's a great show. If you have CBS All Access, you should.
So what's it called again?
No Activity.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. But anyway, like you said, I guess we should just go into it. We got our first look at Brenton Thwaites. Is that his name?
That sounds as good as I'd probably pronounce it, so let's go with that.
We got his our first look at him as in the Robin costume or whatever, in the upcoming Titan series. I'm getting a lot of Chris O'Donnell from this.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting the exact opposite. I'm getting finally an awesome Robin in live action.
I don't know. I'm looking at it, and I kind of see that sort of flashy look to it. I mean, it's silhouetted, kind of, or mostly. But just going off of the mask and the R sign and what we can see, it looks kind of chromey to me.
A little bit, yeah. I know what you mean. And to be fair, the Chris O'Donnell Batman Forever Robin suit minus the nipples isn't really that bad. I mean, it's pretty comic accurate to Robin's costume at that time. So, but this suit, I mean, the colors I think stand out more, and probably not as metally or shiny as Chris O'Donnell's was. I just so glad they're really, really sticking to his look, or the Robin costume that I love from the comics, the Tim Drake one. Just so perfectly so far, this one image. And I just think the actor too, he looks great as Robin. It's not the shaved head like Chris O'Donnell's was. His hair looks like you would expect Dick Grayson's hair to be as Robin. But I just think it's cool we got an image of him as Robin, because I believe, if I remember right, pretty much all the press releases and information casting announcements said he was cast as Dick Grayson, but he would be Nightwing. So if we get a transition from Robin into Nightwing over the course of the series, I think that's going to be really cool to see. And if his Robin costume is looking as good as it does in this image, I can't wait to see what his Nightwing costume is going to be like. So yeah, this image just got me more excited for the Titans TV show the Titans TV show on the DC streaming app. I think it's going to be really cool. And like I said, just another thing to be excited for once the DC app comes out.
Just as long as it's the '80s Nightwing with the collar and the mullet, I'll be happy.
I bet they're going to make a joke about that. I'm going to say it right now. It's going to be like someone bringing out like test costumes or something showing Dick, hey, what about this one? It's going to be that old Nightwing costume with the big collar. And then Dick's going to say something, yeah, I'll grow a mullet and I'll wear it or something like that.
They should bring that back in the current comics. So.
Yeah, have that be a part of Rebirth.
And our final piece of news is the anime Batman Ninja. And before I give my comments, Tim, you said something you hinted at something very, very interesting before we started recording. So I'm very, very interested to hear what you think.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be that interesting. It's just that I'm not really sold on this movie as I thought I would be after seeing the trailer. I mean, first off, the animation looks really cool. I mean, it looks like an anime with Batman in it. Kind of, similar vein to Gotham Knight that we got almost 10 years ago, but this is like full blown on the anime style that I think, it's not going to be as different as the one in Gotham Knight was, or it was Gotham Knight. I'm blanking on the title for a second, because that had a bunch of different animation styles in there. This one is just one that looks like a true anime film, and that's really cool. But the character designs on some of them, I'm not really sold on it. In particular, the Joker. I know what they're going for, because sometimes you see that type of anime character who are usually villains just flat out crazy and just have this, crazed look in their eyes and their facial animations, almost like they're not human in a way. And that kind of fits with the Joker. It just kind of took me back a little bit. It looked a little weird. And some of the other character designs I'm not sold on, because in the trailer you see, Nightwing. Nightwing looks cool. Catwoman looks cool. Harley looks cool. But then you got Deathstroke in a type of samurai outfit, which I don't know, doesn't really fit. And then Robin, kind of with his hairstyle, looks a little off. So it's kind of hit and miss with the character designs on there. So, and I'm not too sure on the story, I gotta say as well. What I was hoping for was that we get a kind of an Elseworld type tale, kind of almost like Batman Gotham by Gaslight, where it's Batman set in the specific time period, where it's just a character in feudal Japan who maybe not even Bruce Wayne, but a character who takes on the mantle as Batman and fights. It could be other characters who were based off other Batman villains like Joker or whatnot, but this story is going to be with Batman pretty much going back in time, or being sent back in time by the Joker to feudal Japan. And it's just Joker and other Batman villains are trying to mess with the timeline and become rulers of Japan, I believe. And I was kind of hoping it wouldn't just be a time travel story and Batman, going back into that era of Japan and trying to make his way back and stopping the Joker and all that. I mean, it could be cool, but I was kind of hoping for something that was, kind of its own thing where, like I mentioned before, it was set in that time period specifically with the Batman in that era in Japan. I think would have been more interesting to me. So we'll see how it all plays out. Certain things about it look cool. Definitely still going to watch it. I mean, it's going to be something different, but I'll check it out. So we'll just see. Have to wait and see. But right now, I'm not super as excited for it as I thought maybe I would be after seeing the trailer.
Yeah, we both brought it up. It's called Batman Ninja, but why is he armored in the samurai armor?
Yeah. It makes more sense for him to be a samurai. I always go back to that animated series episode, Night of the Ninja, where Batman tells Robin how different he is to Kyodai Ken as a ninja and how he prefers the samurai way. So I do like that, how he's going to be more of a samurai in this, but the movie should have been called Batman Samurai then, not Ninja.
Yeah, and going back to the design decisions that you were talking about earlier, I think the Joker looks like a vampire.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I think that's just the anime style. Mm-hmm. It kind of look like all the villains look like vampires for some reason. Kind of looks interesting. I mean, maybe if they put it on Netflix, I'll watch it, but I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and buy it.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those animated movies. Well, you'll just have to wait to hear what I think of it, Dane.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did I tell you I saw the Power Rangers movie?
Oh, you did? No, what'd you think?
Kind of liked it.
See, yeah, wasn't it like better than expected?
It was better than expected. I saw the negative reviews that it got. I have to say, the cat. I think the main reason why I liked it is not the writing, because the writing wasn't that good. I think it was the cast.
Yeah,
They cast as the Power Rangers. I think they did a really good job, and if they build
Yeah.
around that, I think they got a movie franchise. But not what I expected. I expected to not like it, like the Justice League. Ended up liking it. So
yeah, I thought the same thing. I mean, yeah, the movies is really made by the great cast that they got for it. They worked well together. They had a good team dynamic, and good enough backstories to set up,
yeah,
for them becoming the Power Rangers. But it's kind of in the same shoes as Justice League, where it didn't do that great at the box office. And
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get a sequel for it, which is a shame because
yeah,
I think if we could have gotten a really cool sequel. My knock on the Power Rangers movie was that we didn't get enough of the Power Rangers. It was just that end sequence, and I didn't think that end sequence was particularly great. As building up all the way to that, it wasn't a great climactic battle sequence. So if we had more Power Rangers, like at the course of the middle, and then we get to the end with more of them, I think it could have been a really good one, or even better than what we did got. So, but I agree, I still really liked it, and again, better than expected.
yeah. It was like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and you only get like one scene of them.
Yeah,
In the car crash, right? Before that,
pretty much.
Like the suit protects them or something.
The power coins, yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that. So what is that? Like the coins is
That's-
where the suit is.
Yeah, that's pretty much the basis of their power. The coins is where they get the power. That they have them in their morphers, which enable to transform into their Power Ranger costume to get all their powers. But the coin is their source of it. Without the coins, they have nothing.
And you know what I totally forgot about, Tim? Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah,
As, Rita Repulsa.
Yeah,
I totally
she was great.
forgot she was in the movie. She's selling it. She's great.
Yeah.
Also,
I liked how they made it where she was the original Green Ranger and she had a history with Zordon and being an old Power Ranger. I thought that was really cool. The history they created for this version of the Power Rangers I thought was really, really good.
And Bryan Cranston was the original
Red Ranger.
Red Ranger. Yeah, Red Ranger. One thing I don't understand is, how the robot was saying that he programmed Zordon into to speak English? How does Rita speak English or know English?
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, but they're from the same time era, right? Or,
yeah.
So
because they were speaking another language in the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah. Good question, Dane.
I was wondering if how did she learn English? But
it's just, I guess, one of those things you have to overlook, or not to think too much about it.
And also, I totally forgot Elizabeth Banks was in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, who was she in that?
She played the J. Jonah Jameson's receptionist or whatever.
Oh, Betty Brant. Really? That was her?
Betty Brant. Yeah. Totally forgot she was in that.
Yeah, same here, obviously.
And did I ever tell you the first time I ever watched? Because over here we have a Japanese channel. The first time I ever saw the Power Rangers was in Japanese.
Was it the original Japanese show, or was it the American show dubbed in Japanese?
I guess it was the original Japanese show.
Okay.
And that was the first time. That was also the first time I ever saw Pokemon, the Pokemon animation. It was in Japanese.
I actually have the original Japanese Power Ranger show on DVD too.
How did you get that?
They made it available in the U.S. I got about 2 years ago.
Oh, was it like a Shout Factory kind of thing?
Yeah, it was exactly Shout Factory. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was funny seeing how different and out there those stories are compared to the U.S. version.
Yeah, what I didn't know or at the time I didn't know, was that they just filmed the scenes where they don't have the costume on in America, and then they just took the Japanese stuff and pasted it into the scenes where they do have it.
Yep.
That's actually really smart, though.
What's crazy too is that how successful Power Rangers became in the U.S.
Yeah,
that series was already done in Japan, but because Power Rangers is so successful, Saban, actually paid to have them shoot new scenes in Japan just for them to use in Power Rangers without making any new episodes for the Japanese show. But they would film it like they were, but the Power Ranger show in the U.S. would use that footage.
So that just never aired in Japan.
Yeah, as far as I know, I don't believe so, because I think they just filmed the Japanese, actors in the costumes, and then were just used by the U.S. version. So it's just crazy how successful it was, and still, Saban not wanting to film it in the U.S. And I guess it was more cost effective to have someone else do it. So I don't know.
I guess so, but what about the newer shows or the newer Power Rangers? Did they do the same thing where it was like, oh, the Japanese or Saban tried to do or did a new series, so let's just take the footage from them in the suits and let's create a new series in America? Was that sort of the thing, or did they? I
believe so.
Really?
I never watched any of the other series, but I think it's it's still the same thing, because those Sentai shows still go on in Japan, and I think once it's over, they just do what they do, use the footage, and just get U.S. actors and do it their own way over here. So,
wow,
it's a formula that I guess proves to work really well for Saban. It's been going on for over 20 years now. So,
so like the let's just take the original cast, right? The original. Did they ever put on the suits?
Very rarely.
Really?
They did shoot some scenes in America where they had, them wear the suits, and you could tell where the material wasn't the same, especially the Green Ranger, how he has that gold shield.
Yeah.
In the Japanese one, it's very small or streamlined, and the American version is real bulky and like this cheap foam material that just doesn't look right.
Oh, I see. So like they almost never wore the suits. They just did the scenes like in the high school and
yeah. In the second season, they had more where they wore the suits in the U.S., but still not as much as they did using the Japanese footage.
So they didn't do a thing where it was like, we're in the suits, we're fighting the bad guy, but now we have a calm scene, and let's take off our helmets.
They were mainly, when they go back to their command center, that's where the real actors would be in the suits, where they would have their helmets off talking to Zordon or whatnot. That was probably the most they were ever in their suits.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I guess it worked. It was a winning formula.
Apparently it did.
And it made a movie, so.
Yeah. But the best thing going on for Power Rangers right now, I've said this before, but it's the comic series by Kyle Higgins. It's been so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Who is that for? What publisher?
Boom Studios, I believe.
Oh, Boom Studios.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know he still has work.
Yeah, and he's doing a great
job. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's our Ranger talk, Power Rangers talk. Is there a podcast called Ranger Talk?
I'd be shocked if there wasn't. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seems like there's got to be.
Or like a Ninja Turtles podcast called Turtle Talk.
I don't know. There's one called Turtle Talks. I mean, the main Turtle podcast I listen to is called the Turtle Power Podcast.
Yeah.
And I know there's one called Turtle Flakes and Turtles. I think there's one called Turtle Cereal, or might just be Turtle Flakes. It's one of those ones.
Well, if you ever want to start a Ninja Turtles podcast, Tim, I got your name for you, Turtle Talk.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I would love to do one if I had more time.
Star Wars and Batman is taking up most of your time, and all the crossover podcasts that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it for our news. Jordan didn't send email in because he's too big for us now.
Yeah, he's on to bigger things now with his multiverse musings podcast. Just don't forget about us, totally, Jordan.
I listened to the one that you were on, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So
now, did you? I don't think I said this on the episode. I think I told Jordan before we actually started recording, but when I listened to it, I noticed that me and Jordan almost have the exact same laugh. Could you tell that when you're listening? Or it was hard to tell who was laughing or not.
It's similar. But I think Jordan's is higher pitched than yours.
Okay, maybe. I know I got a deep voice.
Yeah, like you're down here, and then Jordan is up here, sort of, a little bit. Yeah. So it's similar, but not as close as I think you think. I think because you're like you're too close to it. Whereas like a third party like me is like, oh no, Jordan's a little higher, you know.
Well, that's good to hear. I don't want to confuse anybody.
You and Jordan should start a podcast and just of you guys laughing.
Yeah. Have it be a game show type podcast. Yeah. So you can guess who's laughing at what joke or whatever.
But yeah, so that's it for everything else. We do have some comics for this episode. Detective Comics number 969 and Doomsday Clock number 1. But like we say at the beginning of every single episode, Tim, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers, right, Tim?
But wait, is there a lot of spoilers, Dane? I just want to be clear.
There are a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't read your books, pause it right now. Read Detective Comics and Doomsday Clock, and come back to this part. And a rating scale for this episode is going to be, what is it, Tim?
Was it Aquaman Yahoo moments or woohoo?
That's all he does in the movie is like woohoo. Yeah, my man. That's another. My man, he's just broing through that whole movie.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's gonna be a rating scale. Aquaman. I almost said Wonder Man.
Wonder Man.
Aquaman woohoo moments in Justice League. So,
right.
Yeah, Detective Comics, Tim, number 969.
Yeah, this one felt like, the good old days of the early rebirth issues of Detective Comics, because we got the team back together. Tim Drake's back. Stephanie Brown's back.
Oh, and,
finally. Yeah. My only question or problem is that it's got a feeling it's not going to last very long. So I got to enjoy it while I can. So, yeah, I like this issue. Like I said, it was good to see the team finally back together. I mean, it starts off with one of the new mayor in Gotham saying, typical thing. The city doesn't need vigilantes. We got the police force and all that. So that's going to be an issue Batman's going to have to deal with. But then we see Stephanie Brown.
You would think that they would learn after a while. Like maybe like the 4th or 5th mayor would be like, you know what? Having superheroes around, it's a good thing.
You would think so, but I mean, he says right here in this panel, Gotham City has a police force. It does not need a second. So,
okay.
Apparently, he doesn't feel that way.
Okay, so I think Batman should just take a little break, and the whole team should just take a little break, and then, I guess, let's say the Joker shows up with something, his new plan, and then it's like, oh no, I can't, according to the mayor.
Yeah. Talk about a really anticlimactic and lame way to end a series on. Let's say like Detective Comic was ending is because the mayor said, no, we don't need a second police force. Okay, we better stop.
I mean, I guess I can't do anything because the mayor said.
Yeah, I've been following the law all this time, but now. So, yeah. nothing new there, but we'll see what develops of that story. But the main thrust of it, Stephanie Brown, is visiting Anarchy at Arkham. Anarchy is still trying to get Stephanie Brown to join the victim syndicate and what they have and how it's growing. And it's not just, those original 5 people. It's going to become a lot more. But, Stephanie Brown's not hearing it. She says it's a mistake to come here. And I did like how Clayface, was either, just keeping tabs on her because he was shapeshifted to an inmate in Arkham. And he just goes, "Hey, Steph, is that you?" And then she's like, yells at him, like, "Be quiet. I didn't sign in with that name." And he's all, "Hey, like, has he seen you yet?" And she goes, "No, I told Batman to leave me alone." He's like, "Oh, shoot. She doesn't know Tim's back," but he doesn't get a chance to tell her. But we do get the moment where Stephanie and Tim do reunite. I'm glad it wasn't dragged out or drawn out so long where they kept missing each other or Tim didn't want to see her. No, he went to her right away. It was a great moment as Tim knocked on a door and just the expression on her face, with some great artwork here where she puts her hands over her mouth. She's crying and just in shock, but then she has a big smile on her face too, just showing how happy he is and, how unbelievable that Tim is still alive. And Tim was funny with some dialogue to say, "No, I had this whole, thing planned out how I was going to tell you that I wasn't really dead. It wasn't a secret mission Batman had me on or anything like that. It was just something really weird where I was trapped." But she just tells him to shut up and, she hugs and kisses him. So I was glad they didn't have anything, like I said, it wasn't drawn out and that she was mad at him. Like, "I thought you were dead. How could you do this to me? Where have you been?" It was just, she was happy to see him and that's it. And how, Tim was going to get her back to join the team where he tells her, "I got some things to take care of what I want to achieve with, the Gotham Knights protocol. But after that, she's like tells him, yeah, that means once you're done, you're going to be able to go to the university." He's all, "Yeah, I got to take care of some things." So, but we later get revealed that Batman or Batwoman's talking to Tim as they're investigating or doing a stakeout on Killer Moth. He's trying to bring Killer Moth out of all villains, trying to bring like some of the crime bosses and their, underlings together since Batman and the Gotham Knights team, now that they're back in full force, are just taking all these crime circles down real easily. They have to come together to try to stop them. But with Killer Moth in charge, it's probably not going to go down pretty good. So Batwoman and Red Robin are, staking out that meeting above the building. But Batwoman calls Tim out, telling him, that, "I could see right through you. You haven't told Stephanie Brown that you have no intentions of, leaving the team once you're done with your Gotham Knights protocol and that you're not going to go to the Ivy University." And Tim's all, "Yeah, but I don't want to put too much on her plate. And I'll tell her when it's right," and all that. So I get the feeling this is all going to blow up in Tim's face where he's going to keep it a secret. Stephanie's probably going to be mad at him all over again. It's just going to cause more friction, which is why, I'm not hopeful that this, reunion of the team is going to last very long as much as I want it to. I hope I'm wrong, but, kind of see where this is going. But hopefully, James Tynion will throw us a curveball and not do the typical thing here with regards to Tim and Stephanie. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it was a pretty fun moment where Killer Moth thinks he's got this group of supervillain teams together with Firefly, the Ratcatcher, Zaz, and Solomon Grundy to take down Batman's team. But turns out, the team was one up ahead of Killer Moth anyway, because Grundy is actually Clayface. And then the team just comes in and takes down Killer Moth and these other villains that were there. So that was fun. And then Batman does confront the mayor, and looks like it's going to be Batman's antagonist for a little bit in Detective, because the mayor's not going to back down from saying he doesn't need Batman or his team, that the police should be able to do it. So that's going to be looks like an issue. And then the crime syndicate or the victim syndicate is going to be coming back because somehow they got Anarchy out of Arkham already. So they must have had some inside sources there, because they're actually all in Arkham, but they're being released by the guards. So maybe they paid some people off, but the victim syndicate is back in full force with its team with Anarchy now. And they're, going to wreak havoc on Batman and his team, showing them that, looks like that. I believe the victim leader just said, it's time for them to know what it's like to be a victim. And this story arc is called Fall of the Batman. So like I said, looks like things are good right now with the team back in full force, but I don't think it's going to last. So we'll see if the victim syndicate has anything to do with that. But overall, a really good issue. Great character interactions. Like I said, seeing the team together again was really cool. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Aquaman woohoo moments in Justice League. But now we get to the big one. Doomsday Clock, issue 1. And I got to say, reading this one when it first came out put me on a real Watchmen kick for the last week. I rewatched the movie. I really like the movie. I think it's really, really good. And then I got the comic digitally now when DC was having their sale. And I got a bunch of not a bunch, all of them, of the Before Watchmen comics. I never read those. So once DC was having that sale, I really wanted to dive in and to read those stories. I think I asked you this before, Dane, but I can't remember. Did you read any of those Before Watchmen books?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I just didn't think that was a good idea.
Sure. I know a lot of people were kind of skeptical.
But I am a big fan of Watchmen, so I'm just curious to hear. Or you haven't read Watchmen, right?
No, I have. Yeah.
Oh, you have. I'm just wondering how you think of Doomsday Clock and the Watchmen being in, the DC universe and stuff.
Yeah. So, real quick though, I just want to say that I've read 3 of the Before Watchmen stories, and I've enjoyed all of them actually. I read the Comedian, Rorschach, and the Minutemen. Rorschach I thought was great. Comedian was good too, but the Minutemen one was probably my favorite so far. Just getting that history of the first team up of the superheroes with the original Night Owl and Silk Spectre, Comedian, and some of the other characters in there like Hooded Justice. Just getting how that team dynamic was in that story was really cool, and kind of elevated Hollis Mason, the original Night Owl, as a character in my opinion, and what he did amongst that era being a hero. It was a really good story, and Darwin Cook doing the story and the artwork just was so perfect of telling a superhero story in that era. It was just really, really good. So I haven't read all of them yet. I still got to read Night Owl, Dr. Manhattan, Ozymandias, and to see how those are. But I think Minutemen might be the best one. So if you're going to read any of them, I would highly suggest that one. The artwork and the story is really, really good. But Doomsday Clock, number 1, is finally here. The potential, technically the sequel to Watchmen. And, I think it had a lot of people on edge to see how it was going to be with Jeff Johns and Gary Frank in charge of it. I'm pretty, confident that they're going to deliver something good. And it starts off, paying homage to how the original Watchmen comic started off. And leading up to this, Jeff Johns was doing like these interviews and giving these, previews of the first 5 pages and showing or sharing little details about it. And I liked how he said how it was kind of the opposite of what the original Watchmen started off, where you had, the original panels where at the end of the last one on the first page, it had like the landscape you were looking up, showing, things from above. But in this one, it's the, I was trying to remember the exact word, but I got the comic right here. It says during the monologue here, it says, we need to bring the god back down. And it's from a down perspective as we're seeing a mob, storming Vite Industries. So it's just little comparisons and parallels to the original Watchmen that were, similar to it, but yet doing something different for this new story. And it's kind of throughout the issue where there's stuff like that that was really cool that Jeff Johns did. So the issue starts with, a monologue from, we're assuming is Rorschach, kind of not his journal, but he's saying what's on his mind. And I like how it starts off where it's November 22nd, 1992. So quite a few years after the Watchmen ended. But then it says, or maybe it's the 23rd. And in those preview videos, Jeff Johns is saying he wanted to, really stress how this Rorschach is kind of, not as sure of himself as, the last one was, or, doesn't have the memory or, like I said, the confidence or the assurance that maybe it was needed to be in this role. So we get a little more hints of that, of him not remembering certain things throughout the course of the issue. But it's starting out with this group of protesters, which becomes a riot. Like I said, they stormed Vite Industries, and we're getting news reports of how, everything that was done at the end of Watchmen, where Ozymandias, brought about world peace through that his manipulation of that alien invasion and killing all those people in New York, and how the whole thing was based on a lie, really. So, but the truth came out. All the original Watchmen ended kind of in an open-ended way, where Rorschach's journals got delivered to that paper, but we didn't know if it'd ever get published. It was, I guess, kind of left to the reader to decide if the truth would come out or not. But now it definitely came out that Rorschach's journal did get published, and now the truth is out there. And I know I've read some reactions and saw some YouTube videos about, that being a complaint about this story. But for me personally, when I read Watchmen, I kind of assumed that was going to happen. I always took it that the truth would come out through Rorschach's journal. So this wasn't a huge surprise or anything that takes away from the original story. I think it's a natural, progression for that to happen. They had a few good years of peace, but eventually the truth did come out, and now everything is just, really turning into a nightmare. And even this monologue from Rorschach says, we shattered the American dream. This is the American nightmare. So the issue starts with that, like I said, just showing the world is at unrest. There's, the threat of nuclear war is closer than ever now between, Russia and the U.S. and just trouble all across the globe, and the manhunt going on for Adrian Veidt because of what he did and how he just misled everybody, and now everything's worse. As much as he wanted to improve things because of that lie, he actually made things worse once the truth came out. So we just get little panels of showing what the world and the condition and state of everything is right now and how bad things are going. But then we get to a sequence as Rorschach is still doing his monologue. And that's the thing, as I said before, where this monologue makes it sound like it is Rorschach talking, but there's little differences. Like I said, he wasn't sure what date it is, but the way he talks is very similar to what you expect the original Rorschach in his monologue, and entries from his diaries were in the first Watchmen story. So we get to a point where people are freaking out. Police are leaving the jail because of the threat of nuclear war and how, the missiles could launch at any minute. They're trying to escape, and there's prison inmates, just telling them, hey, let us out. And then we see Rorschach punch out a guard to steal the keys, and the prison inmates like, oh crap. And there's this, like I said, Gary Frank's artwork is really, really good in this issue. Just seeing the first shot of Rorschach picking up the keys, he's in the same suit. Everything looks like the original Rorschach. And even the way he talks to the prison inmates, he's like, you still want out? And the prison inmate says, no, man, I'm cool. Just go on your business. So Rorschach is in this prison to break someone out, someone named the Marionette. And, he makes a deal with her saying, you help me, I'll help you find your son who's, I guess, missing here. And the Marionette says, okay, but first we need my husband. Rorschach doesn't want to take him, but in order for her to go, they need to find him. And this is someone called the Mime, who's, could probably make for a decent Batman villain. He's someone who doesn't talk. He lives up to his name, the Mime. He tries to pretend like he's, a nobody, but it's all for show. Once things get going, there's a prison fight, and the inmates try to take him out in the fight, but he lets them think they're going to beat him up. But then, once he sees his wife in Rorschach, he starts his performance as Marionette describes, and just takes out all of these inmates. So Rorschach reluctantly has to bring him along. And there was a funny moment where his wife Marionette says, my husband needs his weapons, and Rorschach has no time, but like he doesn't leave without his weapons, and I don't leave without my husband. So they go to, where to pick up his weapons at the prison. There's nothing there, but he, living up to his name is mine. He still takes, he's pretending he's taking the weapons, putting on a belt, taking a gun and all that. And Rorschach's, oh man, you guys have big problems. And so they make it their way out of the prison into the sewer to where Rorschach is meeting his partner. And all he tells Marionette and the Mime is that, I'm here to bring God back, and hinting at his Dr. Manhattan. This is another scenario where Rorschach shows that this probably isn't the original Rorschach, because that's the thing throughout the course of reading it was part of me thinks, oh, this could be him, but then, he's saying things that aren't like the original Rorschach. But then it gets made clear pretty definitively that this isn't, the original Rorschach, because Marionette asks him, how do I know you're not really him? And he just shows her by taking off his glove, and his hand, it looks like he's an African American, as he shows her the skin tone of his hand once he takes off his glove. So it's definitely not the original Rorschach, but there's, hints where it is someone who either did his homework or is very similar to the original. So it's going to be interesting to see who exactly is the new Rorschach. And part of me is thinking it might be someone for the DC universe. I don't know who yet, but knowing how, things are going to cross over, wouldn't it be a huge surprise if we find out that whoever's taking up the mantle of Rorschach is from the DC universe? So Rorschach and the two inmates, Mime and Marionette, make it to, the old lair of the Night Owl. But it's not Night Owl who they're meeting. It's actually Ozymandias. And he pretty much lays out his plan. And like I said, there's a manhunt going on for him. He's like the most wanted man in the world, but he's been hiding out in the old Night Owl's lair and is actually working with this new Rorschach. And like they said, their goal is to bring back Dr. Manhattan. That's what they want. And these things are falling apart for Ozymandias. He now has a tumor, which, he was just saying how everything he planned is kind of backfiring on him, where he gave those people cancer to make it, look like it was Dr. Manhattan, but now he's been infected by all that as well. So it doesn't necessarily, I think, pretty much say his exact plans as to why he wants to bring Dr. Manhattan. He just says, my dream has died and, I can't save the world, now. And like no one has the power to except Dr. Manhattan. So looks like his intentions are still to save the world, but through Dr. Manhattan now, I just don't know how he plans to do that. So that's where like the first portion of this issue ends on the Watchmen front of things, where, like I said, the plan is to get Dr. Manhattan, but they're saying no one has seen him in years. And he goes, I'm aware. The last thing he says is, I'm leaving this galaxy for one less complicated. And that's the mission that Rorschach, Ozymandias, and now Mime and Marionette have to do. They have to find out where Dr. Manhattan is. But then after that, this was the part where I think really made how cool and awesome this crossover of Doomsday Clock is going to be. Because after that meeting with Ozymandias, we get over to Metropolis and we see, Clark sleeping in his apartment. But then we get a flashback to a memory he has, the last memory of his parents, where he's going to the prom, feeling unsure of himself. And then Martha and Jonathan Kent die in a car accident. And that wakes Clark up, screaming. And Lois says to him, like, Clark, you had a nightmare. A room was shaking. Like, Clark goes, I know, I had a dream of my parents' death. And Lois, I can't remember the last time he had a nightmare. He goes, I don't think I've ever had one. So, kind of one of those things of foreshadowing that bad things are about to come. And once, everything gets, comes to a front with Dr. Manhattan in the DC universe. So that's where the issue ended, with Superman and Lois talking about his nightmare. But then afterwards, there was like these back pages of showing, clippings of newspapers from the story and like the fallout of everything that happened after Watchmen. Like there's a newspaper article from the New York Gazette about the Great Lie and how Ozymandias' plot got revealed. And then there's an interesting one about Rorschach's journal and how the original guy who found it at that newspaper was actually murdered and the journal is now missing. So all these little mysteries and stuff that's being laid out, not necessarily in the main story, but in these backup pages here, I thought was a cool, nice touch in that Watchmen style as well. So I love this issue. I thought it was a great start to what's going to be an epic story with Watchmen and then also the DC universe. There wasn't much of the crossover as I was expecting in this first issue, but I think it's laying off the groundwork for some really interesting stuff. The fact we have a new Rorschach and he's working with Ozymandias and they're trying to find Dr. Manhattan. And we know that Dr. Manhattan is within the DC universe. So how they're all going to come together or come across is going to be very, very interesting. And I'm fascinated about Rorschach's journal too. Like I said, that little newspaper clipping that the guy that newspaper who published it was murdered and now the book is missing. And there's that cover of Batman with Rorschach's journal looking at it in the Batcave. So does he get his hands on it as well? Like he has with the button. So I'm just fascinated, excited to where all this is going to go. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5 Aquaman Yahoo moments in Justice League, because this book did its job is not only getting me excited for the story, but like I said, it really put me in a Watchmen mood last week, watching the movie, getting those before Watchmen comic stories and enjoying those. Just getting immersed in that world again has been really fun. So I'm looking forward to the whole year of Doomsday Clock. Like I said, there's 12 issues of this and we just got the first one and the next one doesn't come out to January. So it's going to be a long wait. So yeah, it's just great to see these characters again, even though some are different. And I just can't wait for the potential of seeing them with the DC universe. So like I said, it did its job. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for more. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was a great starting point for this massive event. So can't wait for more.
So it's going to be like a whole year of Watchmen for you.
Pretty much. So we'll see. Hopefully there's no delays. Sometimes there could be delays with this book. Right. So.
All right. So I guess that's it, right?
Yep, that's it for this one.
All right, just go to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse. The Twitter handle is at BatmanUniverse. Our show's Twitter handle is at Bat-Fans Podcasts. Tim's Twitter handle is at TimG311, and my Twitter handle is at DaneSaysBanana. If you want to email the show, you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. And yeah, rate and review us on iTunes. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim,
we love each and every one of you with all of our bad hearts.
With all of our bad hearts. So with that, see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.